First of all, I'll be taking some suggestions, so go ahead and comment your idea down in the description and have them done by me, guys. Yeah. So as you can see, this is a final episode of What If Naruto Was Shisui's brother with the yellow Sharingan, guys. So yes, welcome to the finale. I just want to say it's been an amazing ride, and I want to thank you all for your help and your support on these series, guys. But you already know new what ifs coming up soon, so there's nothing for you guys to worry about. Just comment down below and tell me if you're new, so I can welcome you guys. And if you haven't yet, turn on that bell notification on all my channels. Yes, all of them, because I have 3 more. All the links will be down in the description, so go ahead and obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. So without further ado or wasting more time, let's begin this now, guys. So, the last part that we left off, Mito found herself in a shocking, unbelievable phase, as she could not even blink. Standing in front of her was the one that she knew deep down wasn't dead, despite all the evidence that were stacked against all of them. She knew that he was alive and kicking. She knew it. Yes, she did. And here he was. After all this time, here he was. It brought a smile to her face. However, upon trying to approach him, instead he attacked her. Kakashi was the one that came and saved her. As the teams had split apart, the other members going to retrieve Sasuke, Mito didn't understand as she yelled at Naruto, trying to understand his actions, his motives, why he was doing all of this. She couldn't understand why he was doing this, as she tried to get some insight on what was going on. However, he was not in the mood for talking, but what he did say was, he wasn't the Naruto that she once knew. And any of them got in his way, he was going to kill them. Naruto proved that when he attacked, without any hesitation of holding back. Well, that is what it seems. He ruthlessly attacked each and every one of them, showing that he was not the same man and they should not hesitate because they thought that he was. Team Guy arrived on the scene as Naruto started to fluctuate his power, a whole new repertoire of techniques that he created on his own. Yes, a very powerful repertoire of techniques, known as the Sun Release, as Naruto used a technique to incapacitate each and every one of their eyes. However, he was gone after that, saved by the masked man. Naruto was furious as he heard that Sasuke was taken, but the masked man told him that all of them were working towards a better end, so what's the point of not having a little help, he told Naruto. As Naruto did not say anything regarding that, he was simply quiet about the subject. Soon after, Naruto met Sasuke. After all these years, the Uchiha believing that he was dead. It seems like Mito was right. The both of them sat down as they have a conversation, as Naruto told the Uchiha a lot. He also told him what he was going to do. So much that Sasuke believed in him that Sasuke was willing to join Naruto despite the growing connections that he had made at Konoha. As he saw what Naruto saw even after learning about the Uchiha massacre, the true massacre that is. It was soon after that, as Mito was having a hard time. Kakashi and the others, though, all went by to speak to her. But one more problem after another, Jiraiya died. Yes, Jiraiya died. It almost broke her. It was what Kakashi said. Naruto and Sasuke were still out there. Whatever was going on with them, they could help them, and they could bring them back. That gave her the hope to cling on to that. Everything was going to be alright. And she held on to that with every single willpower that she had. So with that, she went to Mount Miyaboku and trained with the toads. The Akatsuki attacked the village. The leader of the organization came. Pain. However, Mito, with her enhanced Sage mode, was able to defeat him, using the power of the fox as well as she met her father as well. As she also was entrusted with the hopes and dreams of Nagato to save this world as he brought everyone back that he had killed. It was soon after that the masked man was rebuilding the Akatsuki, unknowing that Naruto and Sasuke had operations done. Well, he knew about Sasuke taking Itachi's eyes, but nothing about Naruto's or what he had done, as he brought in someone from the past. It was Orochimaru. Sasori and Deidara had lived this long, however. Naruto was done as he was going to kill them all. He attacked the masked man first, releasing his sun technique. The technique was so goddamn powerful that it was able to burn the man before he could even phase. As his body was a mess, he had to return to his own domain. Sasuke with his eternal Mangekyou took on Sasori and Deidara, and he wiped them off the goddamn map as Naruto erased any semblance that Orochimaru ever walked this earth. He erased every fact, everything regarding the Sannin. He demolished them piece by piece, little by little, until there was nothing left. Yes, he wiped him off the map. With that done, the masked man was now taking actions into his own hand. However, Naruto and Sasuke already found Kisame before he did. Kisame, who was carrying the unconscious Eight Tails, as they took the Jinchuriki, well, Naruto did. Soon after that, Naruto made his way, as both him and Sasuke headed somewhere. Upon arriving, Konan faced the masked man, as he wanted to take Nagato's eyes. The right moment that he was about to end their life, Naruto took his head off, as he had arrived earlier and spoke to Konan, and when he saw the opportunity to end the masked man's life, giving Konan the reins of the Land of Rain, for her to run the village as she see fit, in honor of her past, her childhood, her people. She asked him though, what now? What will he do? She knew that he was up to something as he told her that, whatever happens, it was better for her not to get involved, otherwise she would die. Upon leaving the area, Naruto surprised Sasuke and beat Sasuke until he was unconscious. He knocked Sasuke rather roughly, showing no emotion as he did so. Sasuke was caught off guard, not expecting that, as Naruto brought him and dropped him off right at Konoha Gate. Konan then noticed something. It was a statue. The Gedo statue was gone. So yeah guys, basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So to begin this new episode, Sasuke opened his eyes as he was greeted by a brown cloth. Confusion marred his vision as he didn't quite understand what was going on or where was he. He tried to move as he realized that he was on a bed somewhere. He picked himself up as he brought his hand to his face. Images of Naruto fisting him right in his face returned to his mind. Confusion marred the Uchiha, not quite understanding. However, the tent that he was in suddenly opened up. Sasuke was left at the east gate of Konoha. The gate had been constructed, one of the first few things that was placed back up. However, the village was still not back to normal. After all, it wasn't too long ago that A great calamity hit the village. Well, Pain with his almighty push. The hospital was also one of the main things, as the reconstruction was still taking place, because there wasn't much people that needed the hospital at the moment. After all, they were all brought back, and there wasn't any damage upon them returning. But there were medical tents that were set up, and right now Sasuke was in one of them. The tent flap opened up as someone entered inside, as he heard his name looking up. It was Mito. She quickly placed down the tray that she had in her hand. A look of happiness graced her features. Before he could say a word, her arms wrapped around him. She hugged him. As much as Kakashi's words had cheered her up, she didn't know if Sasuke was alive or dead. Hearing that he was brought at the village gates, it shocked her. She had rushed straight to the area to see him there. She was so happy to see him alive, so she didn't do anything else than hug him. He was one of her closest friends in this world, and she missed him so much. It's been hard, with Jiraiya's death, learning that Naruto was alive and possibly being controlled. No, he was being controlled, she told herself. It was really hard, and not having Sasuke here was something that, well, made the emotional baggage of everything be a lot more heavy on her. But now that he was back, it brought joy to her face. Sasuke did not move. However, he did feel bad that his actions had led him to stray away, not even making Mito know that he was alive. He was supposed to be her friend, one of her best friends. How could he do something like this to her? Recently, with everything that he was told and everything that he now knew, he found himself getting these feelings of emotion. A heavy dose of sadness, finding all that Itachi had to do, finding about everything, and what Naruto planned on doing now. However, now that he thought about it, with Naruto's latest actions, was that really what he desired, Sasuke thought? Sasuke, he was snapped out of his thoughts by Mito, as she was looking him directly in the eyes. What the hell is going on? What happened? She shouted, as she was unable to control the emotions that were pouring out of her at the moment. Time skip. Sasuke stood in front of the Hokage, as she recently woke up. After the battle with Pain where she exerted almost all of her chakra, she just came to. It wasn't long ago that a team had came from Kumo, as they wanted to invite the Hokage of Konoha to a meeting, as Mito's popularity was even growing more and more. As people started to hear that she defeated the leader of the organization known as the Akatsuki, the man that people said led the most powerful, dangerous group filled with nothing but S-rank ninjas. The likes of Itachi Uchiha and Orochimaru was once a part of this group, and she defeated him on her own. It seems like Konoha had a new up-and-comer that was going to put all others to shame. Sasuke looked at the woman in front of him. As memories flashed through his mind, he stayed rather calm, knowing that she had nothing to do with it. Him and Naruto had a long talk about the same issue. If the light of the Uchiha massacre was to come to the public eye, the Uchiha name would simply be pulled down in the mud. Itachi sacrificed everything. He gave his life. He gave everything, his humanity, his emotions. Naruto had made it well and clear that if Sasuke broke all of that to just spill this information, he would be doing no one no good. So the Uchiha decided to swallow all of that, knowing that it was in the best interest of everyone that the news did not come to light. Not only would it bring down the clan's name, but it would also show that Konoha higher-ups could wipe out the clan if they wanted to, and that would cause unrest and future problems. The more Sasuke had spoken to Naruto, the more he saw, the more he understood that doing this the way that he wanted to do would only lead to something that would just cause a catastrophic problem. And the one that mainly caused all of this was already dead, rotten in some grave right now. Danzo Shimura was no more. However, Sasuke was worried about his friend. Yes, he was worried. He knew what Naruto was planning. They had a long conversation on what they were going to do. However, he let his guard down because he trusted Naruto, and he still did. He knew why Naruto did what he did to him. Because he wanted to take that burden. He wanted to take that pain all by himself. Sasuke looked towards a woman that was now demanding answers to understand what happened to him and what was going to happen after this. She was under no impression that Sasuke knew a lot. However, he felt like it was in everyone's best interest that they stopped Naruto. Now coming back, reuniting with Mito. Itachi had already sacrificed a lot. Itachi gave up everything. There was no need for Naruto to suffer anymore. As Sasuke opened his mouth, the Akatsuki is destroyed, he said. Everyone in the room was silent. Shizune was in there, Tsunade and Mito. Kakashi was also there as well. As everyone was silent, confused. What do you mean? Kakashi inquired, trying to understand. I was taken by the true leader of the Akatsuki, a man with an orange mask. Mito's eyes went wide when she heard that. The masked man of the Akatsuki. They turned towards her. Sasuke looking at her curiously. My father told me about him. Your father, Sasuke said, confused, having no information on what happened. My father is Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. Sasuke was relatively surprised to hear that, and he told me that the masked man was the one that set the nine tails on Konoha that night. He was the one that started all of this. To believe that such a threat was out there, to even go toe-to-toe with the fourth Hokage, and no one knew. What now? She said, looking towards Sasuke. What happened to him and the rest of the members? Naruto killed the masked man. He also killed Kisame. And I took down the other two members, Sasori and Deidara. Naruto also killed Orochimaru. Everyone was having their mind blown hearing these things. As Mito felt joy to hear that, Naruto was putting an end to all of the bad people out there. Granted, she wanted to get her revenge on that masked man. She wanted to be the one to put a stop to him, but better to hear that he was gone. Why am I not seeing a look of grace on your face given all the good things that you have said so far? What is he planning on doing? As Sasuke was stuttering to talk, think carefully about your next words. Mito looked towards Tsunade, not understanding her hostile behavior, but Kakashi understood. Tsunade was wary of Sasuke, being away for so long with Naruto that was not back at the village. And after what Mito had said, there was a good chance that he was the one that killed Danzo. They had no evidence and no proof, but even the kind of man that Danzo was, she had no idea what this Naruto was up to. She hadn't even met him ever before. He's not coming back, Sasuke said. What do you mean he's not coming back? He's putting an end to all the monsters out there. Why won't he come back? Naruto was saved by the masked man on the day that we thought he died. The masked man had a plan to place the world under an infinite Tsukiyomi. a powerful technique that resides within the Uchiha clan. In order to do this, he had to gather all tail beasts. He had to captivate all of them and use their power to place the world under an illusion. Dreams that was better than this reality, he said. However, through it all, Naruto never gave up hope, knowing that this plan was not the right thing to do. So he allowed himself to mingle with the organization, making the masked men believe that he was a part of what he believed in. But he never saw it that way. He had another plan, just like always. He seek the complete destruction of the system that we were once a part of. He seek to tear everything down. He's turned cynical. Things that change him being out there by himself. His words even captivate me as well. I was fully there to help him, but he didn't want my help, it seems. He was the one that knocked me out and dropped me here. He turned towards Mito. Being back here, being around you and everyone, I've realized that enough is enough, Sasuke said. He's done so much. He's already eliminated the threat, but his mind is set on fixing this broken world, and he's going to give everything, every last essence of himself to do so. It doesn't matter if it kills him. As he looked towards Navi, and now she said, "Where do you see things?" I think it's better to save him and bring him back home. As I said, he's done enough. But if we don't stop him, he's going to start a war. Everyone's eyes widen. The fourth Great Shinobi War. In that very moment, chaos, smoke and flames, death and destruction. Sound Ninja after Sound Ninja was running for their life. Their bodies were being cut down one after another. A large man known as Jirobo, member of the Sound 4 that was still intact, well, not for much longer. He swung his giant fists, only for him to cry out in pain when the opposite fist that hit his shattered the bones in his hand. With one punch, his head snapped to the sky, breaking his neck with speed that was beyond their understanding. The Sound 4 was being gutted and taken down. Running, trying to leave this base behind was Kabuto Yakuji, right-hand man to Orochimaru. However, he flickered in front of him like a ghost, like he transcended time itself. Kabuto was in a paranoid state, a state of absolute fear, as he realized that this was something that he wasn't going to survive. Naruto placed two fingers directly on Kabuto's skull and muttered one word: "Die." It was an illusionary base, as Naruto Genjutsu infected Kabuto's mind like a virus, overpowering every senses, knocking out every control that he had. His body crumbled like it was made of paper as he collapsed on the ground, as Naruto effectively destroyed his mind. Looking around, he saw the remaining ninjas trying to flee. His chakra surged. There was a violent eruption of power that reduced the base to nothing. Naruto was eliminating every threat, wiping them all away. There had to be only one. His latest encounter was Zetsu, the spy for the organization. Confused about what was going on, he tried to run. However, Naruto was a different kind of monster now. Everything had played rather well, even his technique. He took his brother's eyes, complete hypnosis, able to control one's every inner thought, placing command, thoughts, controlling them from the inside. The Kodemasukami. Shisui's most powerful technique. However, it wasn't his anymore. Upon infusing Shisui's eyes into his own, Naruto awakened a completely different ability of the eternal Mangetsu that tied into what Shisui could do. Sasuke was more subdued than he was normally going to be. Sasuke's actions were his, don't get me wrong, but Naruto simply pushed him in that path for him to see not just feelings of rage, but feelings of care, understanding, and the emotions that he felt for his brother before all of this, to not ruin his sacrifice. However, the connection that he made also heightened Sasuke's emotional attachment to him. He always saw him as a brother as well, someone that he looked up to. Despite the both of them being relatively in age, Sasuke was always going by Naruto's plan, knowing that Naruto just wanted the best for all of them. But now, the commands were simple and calm, as Sasuke saw things, not the way they were, but the way they were going to be. He hated what he had to do after all. However, it was the only way to fix this broken world. There was no going around it. If it continued down this path, there would just be another and another war, another organization, another bloodthirsty being that wanted to take this world by the balls and grip it and control it. Darkness would rise from the shadows. Without unification, there was nothing. It was the only way. He asked Itachi how he was able to do it. Itachi was more powerful than him mentally. There was no doubt about that. However, the best way to do this was to simply seal it all away. A meeting was going to take place very soon, and he intended to be a part of that meeting. Things would get bloody for what he had to do, but it was something that he had to do. There was no stopping it. There was none. It was all or go home, and he no longer has a home to go back to because of what he's about to do. Despite not done yet, it was the only way. So with that, Naruto made his way off, going in head first, no hesitation, no holding back. Time skip. Snarly brought Sasuke and Mito along with her. There was a chance that Naruto might show himself here. However, there was also some complications. Having intel like this, the other nations would suspect them of coercing or working with the organization to try and take the power for themselves. She knew how these other leaders would think. Well, other than Gaara, but the others would take it personally because of her having such close information. Therefore, she wanted to feel things out first, to hear what they had to say. Upon arriving, they found themselves in a meeting hall. As the guards were directed up to the top, everyone had brought their guards. Gaara brought his siblings. Meitarumi brought Kojiro and Ao. The Raikage brought C and Darui. Oniki brought Kurosaki and Atsuki. As everyone was there, representing for their village, their nation, Mifune, the head samurai and the leader of Land of Iron, began the meeting as all Kages placed their hat down. You all know why you're here, given the recent abduction of the Jinchurikis. Given the one that has called this meeting, I believe it best that he begins first. As the Raikage cleared his throat, the Akatsuki has to be stopped. They came and took my brother. There was a lot of rage behind his sentence. Since the form of the great nations, there hasn't been another ally between all nations, but I am willing to be the bigger person here and put old grudges and past grudges aside so everyone can come together for us to end this Akatsuki threat once and for all. They possess the 8 tails, and from what information I've been able to gather, they possess a large quantity of tail beasts from every single village here. He said, looking at each members. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, the 9 tails is the only one that the Akatsuki is not in the possession of at the moment. Their gaze glanced up towards where the guards were as Mito felt the eyes on her, and they will not get her. Snavy interrupted, causing all attention to turn back towards her. I am glad though that you all can see the severity of the situation and know that past grudges must be put aside because a threat like this cannot allow to exist for much longer. Mito and Sasuke remained quiet as Snavy was being very careful on what she was doing. Mifune was surprised how well things were going. However, it seems like each of them could put aside their pride for their village. That was until Oniki spoke. Why do we need to link our forces together in order to end this threat? It is quite obvious that they're after all tail beasts. Simply get rid of the 9 tails, and things would be much more balanced, and the Akatsuki won't complete whatever goal that they're after. First of all, there is no getting rid of the 9 tails, said Snavy. Even what you're considering or even talking about is something I don't want to hear again, she said. Look in her eyes were very demanding. Secondly, even without the 9 tails the Akatsuki has 8 tail beasts under their control. That is still enough power to wage against every single nation and still have more power to destroy everything. And we have no idea what or remains of the organization that has a good mindset to not turn them nuclear against every single nation. The implication of what she was saying was setting in on all members there as they start to think about the ramifications of actually not joining forces and how bad it might be. It is good that you're all gathered so I don't have to hunt you all down myself. Snavy was interrupted as every guard was beside their Kages immediately. The area in front of them distorted and turned. Everyone watched. There was a rift in space and time. He stepped out like it was nothing. His eyes, his face, his whole body was on full display. His eternal yellow Mangito Sharingan fully activated in his eyes. Naruto was decked out in the Akatsuki clothing, yes. The organization robes, confusing Sasuke. Every single person was on guard. However, the right Kage cleared the distance. Where is my brother? He roared. Despite believing that B had been killed and the tail beast had been extracted. Rage. The man was filled with rage. However, he crashed into the wall behind Naruto, with Naruto not even moving an inch. The Raikage did not stay down as he attacked once again. This time he braced himself though, however, he was hit. Launched he was across the room as he slammed into the opposite wall. Daruyan Sea descended upon Naruto. However, before they could even reach him, as Naruto lowered his head, their bodies were thrown. They crashed away hard. I simply came here to have a conversation before anything else begin. Are you going to allow me to speak my mind, or Would I have to kill a couple of you to let you settle down? Gaara-san lashed out, trying to wrap around Naruto, but Naruto simply walked right through it, like a goddamn ghost. As he walked over and sat down, each of them having their guards on high alert, Mito and Sasuke stepping forward. There was no word said between either of them as they looked at each other. "Stop this." Sasuke finally spoke. "You don't have to do this. You don't have to go this far." "Pathetic," said Naruto. "What?" Sasuke said. "I said you're pathetic. I wanted to see if you have the capability. If you have the understanding of what I was going to do, but you failed me. Doubt. You started to be inflicted with so much doubt. So I decided to remove you from the equation." What are you talking about?" "That plan that I told you about. It was never the true plan," said Naruto. "What?" Sasuke said, more confused than ever. "I wanted to see if you would follow me into hell and back without question. Then I know I could trust you, but the more time passed, the more you started to aggravate me over and over with these questions, asking about emotions and all of that. And that is when I knew that you were weak. There was still too much you had back at the hidden leaf, so I cut you loose. It is quite simple." "I lied," Naruto said. "You're lying," Sasuke said. "Yes, I did." "No, you're lying now. To save yourself from what you're doing. Stop this. There is still time." "Seems you don't understand," said Naruto. "There isn't any time left." Speaking of, Naruto turned his gaze as a ripple ripped open in space near to him, as something dumped out of it. The right Kage eyes went wide as it was the body of B. Naruto kicked it like it was trash. As the right Kage caught it, rage overtook the man. His body bursting with lightning to 100%. "Make another move, and someone will die," said Naruto. The right Kage fist clenched as his teeth grit against each other. "Someone better calm him down. Unless you all want your villages to be destroyed." Everyone paused at that, as the right Kage was barely holding himself back. "You see, I've come to learn that this world is broken, and there's no fixing it. I thought there was, but I was wrong. So I decided that I'll simply make a new world. The infinite Tsukiyomi. A world where there's no war, there's no chaos. Everyone has their family, their loved ones. There will be eternal peace. In a right world, you all would be seeking this. I will place you all in a dream where you can live out your fantasies and the world that you desire without pain or loss. I'll give you all one chance to surrender and give me the final Jinchuriki without a fuss." Mito felt pain in her heart as he called her that, and there won't have to be any bloodshed. "So let me get this correct," said Mei. "You want us all to work with you, to place everyone into a dream world, where everything is fake, where hopes and dreams would be realized, but it is all still fake." That word, it might sound bad, but it's not. It's far better than this crap that we live in right now. So, I suppose that, given the looks on your faces, that's a no. "I would never side with you," the right Kage said. "The only thing I want right now is to crush you in my bare palms." "I suppose you would say that," said Naruto. "But it doesn't matter now, does it? You see, in order to create my perfect world, I need every single tailed beast, and I'm currently lacking the 9 tails. As strong as I am, I don't think I can take every single one of you, including the Jinchuriki, and escape with her intact. So it's simple then. I'll bring the world down until there's nothing left to fight for. I'll destroy everything until you people are begging me to actually place you in a world that is much better. Naruto said as he fully got to his feet, looking at each and every one of them. You believe that placing us all in an imaginary world will solve all our problems, but in the real world where our body lie, everything will still be the same. An illusion is just that, an illusion. And I will not stand by it, said Gaara. And I won't allow you to take Mito, he said. Tsunade stepped forward. You've gone out of your mind. You've lost any semblance of returning back to the side that you should be. I won't allow you to take her, and I won't allow you to achieve any of what you're saying, said Tsunade. We will bring you down. Naruto chuckled. Funny, he said. You seem to all forgot that I have the control of all ATL beasts. They were once stored away, but now I release them and place them under my guide, under my illusion. Their power is mine. I will walk them across this goddamn world and burn everything. I will destroy every semblance of humanity until there is nothing left. And then, when you're all broken, when you're all on your knees, you will beg me to achieve what I gave you the option of accepting today. Enough, the Raikage said. It's a no. None of us here will ever bow to your whims. None of us here will ever accept your deal. Believing that you're going to win against the entire world, it's the worstest mistake that you've ever made. And I will be the one to put an end to you. In the end, I will be the one. The last thing you see is my face for what you did to my brother. I will crush you, the Raikage said. Naruto looked at him. Well then, I hope you're ready for what your people are about to suffer. Each and every one of you. Through the whole conversation, Mito had yet to say a word. She just looked at Naruto. It was a look in his eyes. She just looked at him. She had not spoken. Sasuke was lost, wondering if Naruto was playing him the entire time, wondering if he was just a patsy in Naruto game. To him, Naruto's eyes were crazy. It was the eyes of someone that has lost his mind, making Sasuke believe that he was just a pawn and nothing else. In the brief seconds before he went away, his eyes connect with Mito's eyes. She had yet to even say a single word. A lot going through her mind in the moment. As Naruto, similar to the masked man, sucked himself away in a swirling vortex, and he was gone, leaving a fuming Raikage that demanded answers on what was going on. It seems the Hokage was holding out on them. Tsunade came clean with what she knew. However, it seems like they were wrong. She used that to her advantage, saying that it was the main reason why she never wanted to say anything about it. Yes, he was once a part of the Hidden Leaf, however, he was no longer a part of the nation. As you can see, he was coming after a Leaf Ninja, and not just any Leaf Ninja, the savior of the Hidden Leaf. She had no choice but to agree with the coalition of joining forces between all of them. A leader had to be set, to be placed at the top. The Raikage had no ties with the organization because every other village tied in, piece by piece. Beat Naruto, beat Itachi, beat where the Akatsuki said to have originated, that was Kiri, given the fact that the Akatsuki had spied within the sand. And it is said that the Hidden Stone hired them in the past. So the Raikage was the one that took the lead. As a great alliance that was never seen before was formed. All of their top minds had to come together because they weren't dealing with average shinobi here. They were going up against the 8 powerful tail beasts. It was recommended that Mito did not enter the battlefield, however. Snether showed them why that was going to be a stupid decision. Not only did she possess incredible power, especially with her Sage mode, she also had access to the Toad of Mount Miyamoku, every single one of them, and given their size it could be used to combat the great forces that they were going to fight, as they had to have a very large impact on what is going to happen. Time skip. After all the hustle and bustle, they finally got some time to talk. Sasuke had seen. He had seen Mito and how quiet she was, as he just realized that he was wrong about everything. He saw the look in Naruto's eyes. I guess I was wrong, Sasuke said. Looking at her, Mito had been completely quiet. It was off-brand for her. She looked towards him, and her eyes seemed so different. It was the emotion that was playing through them. It wasn't something that she could read. I don't have any answers. I don't know what to do now, Sasuke said. How do we go about this? With the killing of the Raikage's brother, and Naruto being the one to take that blame. This isn't something that could be stopped anymore. He declared war on everyone. The things that he said that he was going to do, we can't stop it. Sasuke was waiting for something, hoping for something from her, but she was just so... Mito, he said, as her eyes seemed to finally gain the light that he was looking for, like she could actually hear him. It was like she wasn't at first. I don't know, she said. As much as I want to save him, as much as I want to help him, I don't know where his mind is right now. I don't know what he's up to. I don't know what he is doing. I just don't know. Maybe. She looked away. Maybe he's too long gone. Maybe we can't save him. Sasuke grabbed her by the shoulders. You're never the cynical one. You're always the one that is finding a way. Finding somehow you defeated the Akatsuki leader. Pain, for God's sake. A man that possessed the Rinnegan. Eyes that were said to be a gift from the gods themselves. How could you of all people give up so easily? What's the point of trying anymore? Naruto has made his intentions clear. How can we combat this? How can we save him? If the whole world is against him, what are we gonna do? Turn against the world and help him? I don't know, she said. I'm going to clear my mind. Please, don't follow me. She walked away, not having anywhere in mind that she was going. She just walked. Even now, Anvus were watching her. Given that she was the last target, and that she was important to what is about to happen, and given Naruto's special ability to warp into places, she had to be safe at all times. As she just walked though, having nowhere in particular to go, she found herself at a bench, remembering crying here when she learned about Jiraiya's death as she sat down. The emotion that she saw within Naruto's eyes, it was similar and yet so different. It was something that she couldn't define. She could not see past all that hate anymore. And the more he spoke, the more it broke her heart. She was so stunned she could not even speak to him. Has she truly lost him, she thought to herself. His words came back to her after the forest of death. You're not a monster. You will never be a monster. You're just a sweet young girl who was given a lot However, you're always finding a way to overcome it. And I doubt there's anything in this world that is stronger than your will, he said with a smile. Mito felt the pull, the tug, confused as she made her way, not expecting this call, as she found herself inside of the mindscape. Mito knew what she had to do in order to get control over the fox's power. However, she was doubting herself more and more. The toads at the Mount Miyaboku had gave her the key on how to free the seal. If she defeated the beast, she would control its chakra. Her father sealed a beast inside of her for a reason, right? He did, and she should be able to. As she arrived within the mindscape, she found herself standing right in front of the bars. I'm surprised that you called me. You're usually one that is always silent. And given what happened recently, I thought you weren't in the mood to ever talk to me again. After all, I think you should be embarrassed. You tried to take over my body and failed. The fox simply huffed, releasing a lot of breath. You're going to die, he said. And happy to see you too as well. If you're just going to chastise me, it's better if I get going. You foolish girl. She paused. Do you really think that you can do it? Just like what you told that so-called leader of the organization. That you were going to save this world. And now, you're faced with a dilemma on what to do. Try to kill the person that you care about so much in order to bring peace. Or, do not kill him and watch as he destroys everything. Where was that confident little girl that believed that she could stop all of the hate and bring peace? The one that believed she could become Hokage, he said with a huff. You know, you sure do enjoy talking now, she said. Are you getting bored or something? He growled at her. It's just to pass the time. After all, you're going to be dead soon. And I'm going to be captured. Because you cannot defeat him. Because you're weak. Mito stepped up towards the cage. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am weak. However, that doesn't mean I'll stand by and watch everything get destroyed. Even if it means putting my emotions aside, I'll do what is necessary. Kurama looked at her and huffed. Stupid little girl. Believing that you can stop what is about to come. As much as I detest that clan, and Uchiha's greatest weapon is their hate, do you believe that you can take all of his hate? He's lost within the darkness. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. And I'll keep on trying until I have nothing left to give. And I'll try for you one day as well. What? You heard me. I realize that you're just like all the villains I've come across. You're broken, filled with hate and anger. And just like Nagato, I'll find that hate inside of you and rip it out. Because that is the only way to bring everyone together. By destroying this virus that we call hate and anger, resentment, rage. Kurama rise to his full height. You truly stand there and believe that you can handle what I am. That you can handle my hate for your kind, he said. I do. And like I promised, I won't stop trying until I have nothing left to give. And you're right. Maybe Naruto is stronger than me. However, I'll need your power to fight him. And I don't want you to take over my body when I do come for your power. So, I think it's time that we finally settle this once and for all. He grinned, showing his vicious teeth. Why don't we start now? so I can rip you apart. Not yet, she said. I have to get myself ready first. Time skip. Mito found herself, as Sasuke was there as well. Tsunade was overseeing what was taking place. A powerful barrier was currently up. They needed everything that they had to win. What was going to happen? Kakashi was there, Guy was there. Just in case things did not go as well as they needed to be. But Sasuke was the main one to defuse the situation. The Sharingan had the capability of controlling tail beasts after all. And Sasuke didn't have your average Sharingan. As Mito's eyes were closed, her breathing was calm. She was relaxed, as she was doing what is needed to be done. Granted, she had no idea what to expect. This wasn't a process that anyone that she knew anything about. However, she believed that she could. Mito went into it with the sole intention of defeating the Nine Tails. The moment she broke the seal, the beast emerged. As Mito started the fight, she used Sage Mode to empower herself. However, even then the Nine Tails was just so overwhelming. As she used her chakra as a spiritual manifestation to grip his, she could see what needed to be done. The problem was that she started to take his chakra. The voices came. You can't do it. You're going to fail. Naruto is going to destroy everything. He's going to die. Everyone you love will die. In the outside world, everyone got heated as they watched. Half of Mito's body started to get overtaken by the Nine Tails. Sasuke, Sharingan activated, looked down towards her. Come on, he said. You can do it. As Mito was losing badly, there was something. As the Nine Tails was wrapped up by golden chains, and Mito got another big surprise. She met her mother. Soon after, the chakra receded as everyone watched. What's going on? Said Guy. She's doing it, said Kakashi. It was a few minutes afterwards where her body surged with a golden energy. An unbelievable amount of force could be felt that rattled the barrier, and she wasn't even trying to break it. It was stunning, it was overwhelming. As Mito got to her feet, as she had a new invigoration, more than before, she spoke to her mother. Something she never thought that she would be able to do. Then again, she never thought she would be able to speak to her father, but things are different now. As she was surging with so much power. Time skip. Massive toads were sent along with all of the teams. The nations had split themselves up, piece by piece. Yes, they combined, but they split. Not as their own, but as many. As they were combined and spread together. All of them going in this knowing that if they fail, that was it. A select team was situated away from the battlefield. Sasuke and Mito was there. They were the two heavy hitters. Sasuke possessing greater power than the Kages, from what Tsunade had witnessed, and Mito having this unbelievable amount of power now. They could use that, and they needed that. However, they had no idea where Naruto was going to show up. Scouts were out, as Naruto had been quiet, extremely quiet. Mito summoned the toads from Mount Miyaboku as they were on the battlefield, each of them with a group. The toads were able to quickly transfer information, and also, the Yamanakas were also here as well. It started from the west. He appeared in a swirling vortex. As Naruto was no longer in the Akatsuki robes, he was here to fight, and that was very, very clear. He was dressed in a dark gold and black armor, similar to what his ancestor Madara Uchiha wore in the past. Naruto also had the Uchiha fan strapped to his back. Naruto blurred through hand sign before he brought his hand down, summoning jutsu. A massive array spread underneath him that covered a large portion of the land. The next moment, the Gedo statue was brought into play, but not only that. Beside the Gedo statue was the 8-tailed beasts, from 1 to 4 on the left, and from 5 to 8 on the right. Naruto was on top of the Gedo statue. He brought his hand down on the thing, as its body started to change and move. What seemed to be a card elongated from the back of the Gedo statue and injected in each of the tailed beasts, absorbing some of their power. The thing started to move as it got to its full height. That power flooded into Naruto as he opened his eyes. And it was not the Mangekyou, not the Eternal, but the Rinnegan, a yellow pair of Rinnegan. His eyes were advanced than any other eyes that any Uchiha has ever awakened. The cells that Naruto stole from Danzo was what he had infused in his system. He figured that it would take a long time, but his body started to experience changes really quickly. His eyes adapting truly fast, awakening the Rinnegan. As for Naruto's special ability, well, it was simple. It was a complete overhaul of all Sharingan abilities. Naruto could use any technique that he understood. Yes, he could. The Kodomatsukame. But it wasn't just that. The black flames of the Amaterasu and the Kamui. Having been within Tobi's dimension, Naruto knew how the technique worked. As he wasn't an idiot, he spent the last 3 years with the man, realizing that he sent part of his body into the dimension. It wasn't until later that he learned how his ability truly worked. However, unlike them that can do the technique flawlessly, it takes a bit more chakra from him. He could only also use 2 techniques at a time. If he required to change it to a different Mangekyou technique, he had to wait 5 minutes. Each of the tailed beasts opened their eyes, and their eyes were just the same as Naruto's, as they were under his control. Without a word, they started to move. The Gedo statue started to move. The army that was on Naruto's location immediately sent word. Gamma Hero, the toad that was with them, realizing that they would all be massacred, pulling out both of his blades, he hopped forward. He went straight for the head, however, blue flames descended upon him. He flipped over it and sprouted water from his mouth, only for lava to turn that water into steam. The dolphin horse then slammed its head into his chest, launching the toad like he was nothing. As word was quickly sent back to HQ where all the Kages were. Mito and Sasuke were there as well. As the both of them looked at one another, this was it. This was the end game. They had to hit Naruto with everything they had. Not to mention, he could not risk killing Mito because he needed the tail beast inside of her. It was time that they moved out. However, Naruto was showing that he had nothing left for humanity. Blue flames rained from the heavens like meteors, burning shinobi alike, reducing them to atoms and dust. Violent tremors went through the ground as the massive dolphin horse ran. He slammed his head into the earth and ripped it up. Bodies were thrown all over. The massive four-tail brought his arms down, causing catastrophic destruction. The Sealing Corps tried to make a move. They tried to throw up a barrier, however, the tail beasts released a miniature bomb from their mouth, massacring hundreds. As Naruto stood there, right on top of the Gedo statue watching all of the calamity in front of him took place. So many lives lost, So many bloodshed from all nations. The group was given a signal to retreat as fast as they possibly can. As this was the opportunity, they realized they could not face him like this backup was coming. However, they had to pull back. Yes, they had to pull back to lure him into their trap. Backup was on the way. However, Naruto suddenly stopped the march. As he stood where he was, he then proceeded to sit down on the top of the statue and just waited. He did not move, he did not open his eyes. He just waited. As they saw, and they didn't know what to make of it. As he was just waiting there, Oniki was already on his way flying. As Mate Terumi was being teleported away. As there was a special group from Konoha that was trained by the fort himself. As they were performing the technique. However, the first to reach on the scene was Tsunade and the Raikage. Because of their special quirks, they were able to survive the teleportation jutsu, as Gaara was on his way. This was a one and all fight. These were tail beasts, not ninjas. They had to be there to give it everything they had. Tsunade stepped forward as she looked towards all the devastation and destruction that was currently circulating all around. Naruto sat there, his eyes still closed. The Raikage charged himself up. However, Tsunade turned towards him, telling him to wait. Running in would only get himself killed. He's waiting. As she realized he was waiting for all of them to come. He wanted to destroy all of them at once. If he wanted to wait, make him wait. After all, they came in this with a plan. They came in this prepared. And they were going to play this to their advantage, not his. They weren't going to allow him to take over, because if he did, it would be the end of all of them. Look at how many lives has already been lost. One by one, the Kages arrive on the scene. As Naruto did not move, he did not budge. The tail beasts were quiet and docile. The massive toads started to arrive on the scene as well. The members spreading out, knowing that getting too close would lead to their destruction. And also, it was all a part of the plan. As Naruto was surrounded all over. Yes, he was. Mito and Sasuke, after some time, they finally arrived. The both of them stood there, realizing that today might be a day that they do something incredibly difficult. However, it was something they had to do, right? They told themselves. The both of them took a deep breath. As Naruto seemed to sense them as his eyes opened up. Even from here, everyone felt his power. It was so goddamn overwhelming. Word was sent between the Yamanakas. Now! Tsunade was the one that shouted. As there was a great distance between Naruto and the foes. The ground beneath Naruto shattered like glass. Explosion planted underneath the ground by the bomb team of the Hidden Stone. The explosion had been planted all over, but this location was where it was needed. The tail beasts fell, so did the Gedo statue, into a massive trench. They had surveyed the area and made their plans long before Naruto arrived. As our team rushed from the Hidden Stone and started to pour cement down there, releasing earth cement, the water ninjas then started to pour the water down. The fire ninjas then started to harden it. That was until Naruto merely smirked. He brought his hand together as he clapped it. The power of the Gedo statue seemed to surge along with the tail beasts. Their whole body started to shake with uncontrollable power. As for Naruto, golden aura surrounded him. It swallowed him. The markings of the curse mark, former curse mark, overtook him. A violent surge of energy caused a storm wave of chakra that obliterated everything in 1 second, shocking all the ninjas how easy it was. However, that was just plan 1. Moving on to plan 2. Every single Fuinjutsu member came as they obstructed a barrier, wide and large. It was a powerful red barrier. Normally, this would be impossible for these members, but with all of their power combined, it should be able to hold him. And now to end him was Oniki. Floating above said barrier, he produced his most powerful particle style to reduce Naruto to dust. Naruto's gaze snapped upwards as Oniki fired off the cube. However, what happened next completely shocked everyone. Naruto held his hand up and created a wall of pure energy, it seems. The problem was when the particle style made contact, all the chakra was siphoned off the technique, shocking everyone. All their plan for phase 2 going down the drain, causing Oniki to curse as messages were being sent through the minds of the Yamanakas, spreading to everyone in the field. A formation of all Earth users gather. Earth style, underworld burial, they said. When they slammed their hand down, the ground, even more so than before, fell deep down. Do it now, the Five Kage shouted, as all of the bomb members from the Hidden Stone Earth core activate all of the explosives underneath. Everyone was forced to move back as a tsunami of flames escaped out of the gigantic trench that they created. Everything was swallowed in a mass destruction. Oniki floated in the air. Both Sasuke and Mito were silent as they watched the scene from where they was. Everyone holding their breath, hoping that was it, hoping that everything had been put to an end. However, they were all surprised when they saw a golden light emanating from said hole. That golden light was after the explosion, and 2 colossal wings spread from the hole. The wings were larger than all of the tail beasts, and it covered and protected every single one of them, including the statue. It suddenly vanished away though. The ground started to rumble and shake. Everyone's eyes went wide. Move back now, they shouted. However, it was too late. The ground erupted, wiping out hundreds, maybe thousands of life. The tail beasts ripped themselves out of the earth, crawling out like they were crawling from the pit of hell. The Gedo statue pulling itself to its feet with Naruto on top of it. The golden aura suddenly calming down around his body. Everyone was astonished. Even after all of that, there he stood. He held his hand out as the beasts all went towards the barriers that was reflected on the outside. The connection that was made between them all as Naruto's ability flew through them. The chakra was being absorbed. Everyone started to panic. Both Mito and Sasuke knew that it was time as they started to quickly head down to the area, bypassing all of the people there. As the tail beasts got free, and all hell broke loose, even the Gedo statue joining on the mix. All the members of the Akamichi clan that was able to transmute their body quickly got large. All of the remaining animals, the toads, draw their weapons as chaos reigned. The next moment, Sasuke's body was enveloped with the power of the Susanoo. He grabbed Mito and took off to the sky, showing the perfect Susanoo. He descended the form as it vanished away. As he landed, Mito by his side, Naruto not too far away from their position. As all hell was breaking loose behind them, all the Kages, everyone was fighting. However, the place was silent for them as they looked at one another. Mito was the one to break the silence. So this This is how you want to end things? She asked Naruto. After everything we've been through, after everything I've been through, knowing all these years that you've not been dead, and after returning, this is how you treat me, she said. The people that cares about you most in this world, your friends. She looked him dead in the eyes. However, his eyes were so empty, she felt a chill run down her spine. Sasuke spoke, interrupting. You can tell us, Sasuke said. We've been through so much already. The plan that you told me. Tell me, is this it, Sasuke asked? Is this why you're doing this, to take all of the burden yourself? This world is broken, said Naruto. It doesn't matter what happens. It can never be redeemed or fixed. The only way to fix it is to give you all what you lost in the world that I'm going to place you in. Sasuke, Itachi would never betray the village. From what you saw, the Uchihas would never make a move. Your mother, your father will be alive. And Mito, you won't be alone. I'll make sure that your parents are there for you. Everything will be okay. No war, no bloodshed, no chaos, no suffering. You're the one causing the suffering, Mito said. You can stop all of this now. You have the power to do so. I do, said Naruto. But I'm not going to. Even if that means that I will die. She saw something in his eyes when she said that. In order to achieve what you want, you need all tail beasts, and if you rip the 9 tails out of me, I'll die. Is that what you want? She asked. Sasuke narrowed his gaze. How are you going to place her in a world where her parents are alive if she's dead? Naruto was no longer in a mood to talk. He thrust forward. However, Sasuke blocked his first blow, their arms clashing against each other, just to show how much stronger Sasuke had gotten. However, the next moment Mito was enshrouded in a golden cloak of energy. She thrust her fist out. Fine, she said as Naruto caught her arm. If you don't want to listen, we'll just have to force you to do so. However, Naruto Rinnegan pulsated, throwing the both of them back. Immediately they got to their feet. Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, blazing golden eyes, and the golden Rinnegan. They all square off. They thrust towards each other at immaculate speeds. Mito and Sasuke working together was like a well-oiled up machine as Naruto evaded and dodged, seeing their punches and kicks on a much slower level. However, Sasuke was going to force Naruto to surrender. The world might be unable to forgive what he was doing at the moment, but they would find a way, Sasuke told himself. He thrust his arm out covered in lightning as Naruto thrust his arm out covered in flames. Both of the techniques clash. Mito flipped over and demolished the ground when she dropped, creating a huge crater. As Naruto flipped away, the both of them once again attack him, moving like a gold and purple blur as Sasuke summoned his Susanoo. Naruto flew into the sky and thrust his arms out. He yanked them towards him before he repelled them. He then moved at speeds that shocked the both of them. He crashed a foot in Sasuke's chest. It broke through the Susanoo, crashing into the Uchiha. Mito appeared as Naruto grabbed her hand and flipped her. He then brought her down and slammed her into the side of the rock as he kicked her inside of it, breaking the whole thing down on her. Naruto flipped over Sasuke's Chidori as he grabbed his arm, but Sasuke grabbed Naruto's coat. The both of them spun in mid-air and threw each other away. Mito erupted out of the ground with 2 arms, made from pure chakra as they grabbed Naruto. He pushed them apart with the almighty push before he pulled her towards him, before he slammed the heel in her skull, sending her spiraling down. She recovered almost instantaneously as she bounced to her feet, Sasuke Susanoo grabbing her and throwing her. A Rasengan formed in her hand. Naruto thrust his hand out, releasing another almighty push as the Rasengan clashed against a violent rippling wave of energy force. The gravity force was pushing against him, but Mito was not, holding down. Mito then stopped as Sasuke Susanoo fists crashed down on Naruto. He bounced across the ground and Sasuke did not stop. As he looked down and said one word, Amaterasu, he covered the surrounding area in black flames. The next moment though, Naruto jumped right through it, his body coated in his own sun flames that danced along his skin, showing that they were much more potent to withstand the flames of the Amaterasu. Keep in mind that Naruto could use two techniques from his Mangekyou ability, but he had yet to use the Kamui because he wasn't in the possession of it at the moment. He had switched, and it took 5 minutes. After all, he was doing what he had to do as their battle continued. Realizing that they were getting nowhere, Sasuke turned the heat up. Yes, he turned it up to the max. He summoned his Susanoo on a much larger scale. The perfect Susanoo. Mito was inside with the Uchiha. As she placed her hand on his back, she pumped a large quantity of her energy into him. The Susanoo started to get a golden shrouded armor around it, twisting and wrapping around the body of the Susanoo as they towered over Naruto. That is when his eyes pulsed and his energy skyrocketed. Naruto summoned his own Susanoo. Everyone came to a stop when they saw it. It was taller than the one that Sasuke was currently enshrouded in, and much larger as well. Not to mention it had 6 arms, 3 on both sides. A replica of the Uchiha fan was in one arm. Massive shuriken was in 3 of the other arms, leaving 2 others that held 2 curved katana. A weapon of mass destruction and power. It had a helmet on. You could not see the facial features, only darkness, but you could see the golden Rinnegan eyes pulsating. However, neither of them were willing to back down, as the wings of the Susanoo from Sasuke emerged, with golden feathers, courtesy of Mito. He held out his left hand as a katana, formed in it, while his right hand held onto a bow, with arrows forming on its own. Golden arrows. The first one shot forward, however, it was split by Naruto's blade. Easily, without much effort. Let's do this, said Mito. They took to the sky, so did Naruto, as a battle of epic proportion took place. Mito kept on pumping more chakra, as Sasuke was giving it its all. However, Naruto Susanoo was just so much more larger and more powerful that it wasn't fair at all. He rained down blows after blows, causing them to wane under the stress, as he was causing severe damage and destruction. His power was much greater than theirs even combined. Naruto's eyes pulsated as his weapons seemed to quadruple in size. The power coming from them started to cause massive destruction all around. When a clash ensued, Sasuke's knees bent. His Susanoo, that is. Both him and Mito struggling to stay afloat. That was until Mito found herself within the mindscape, breathing heavily. This is not the time, she said. You're going to die, stupid girl. The fox said to her. Tell me something I don't know. So that's it. You've given up on saving him, realizing that you cannot defeat the hatred that is in his heart. No, of course not. What? The fox said to her. I'm going to die if I don't stop talking to you and focus on what I'm doing. You know this about me. Well, you should know this about me, given how long you've been inside the seal and we've been together. I never give up, she said. Your chakra is running out. That form is going to leave you soon, and it will take a while for you to recover that power. I guess you're right. I am feeling the drain. She looked up as she saw his fist at the bars. What's going on? The endgame is being taken and used by that brat Uchiha. One of the things I despise most in this world is his clan. I prefer to stay here than be taken by him. So, I'll lend you my chakra. You mean that chakra tug-of-war thing again? No, we don't have to do that this time. Just bump my fists. Mito looked at him. As a smile came on her face, the moment she made contact, Kurama smiled as well. By the way, my name is Kurama. On the outside world, Sasuke felt an enormous surge of energy. Looking behind him, it was Mito. He was surprised. Every single broken form on their Susanoo started to reform. Not to mention it got larger. And it also gained tails as well, that were fighting as its own entity. As Mito's body was enshrouded with a new stage of the KCM mode, her power skyrocketed as she fed it to Sasuke, empowering his Susanoo to mighty levels as it started to gain hands like claws, taking on the shape of a fox head. They started to press Naruto, pushing him back rather violently, to the point that they send him crashing to an empty space, hard. However, Naruto lay there in his Susanoo, and his eyes opened. The markings that were on his neck started to glow. They also overtake the body of Susanoo as well. An unbelievable heat spread across the entire field. The 6 arms fused into only 2, all the weapons combining into 2 massive blades. The chakra was literally dripping from them and melting the earth. As Naruto got back up, something was not right. His power had not lessened at all. If anything, he seemed to be getting more and more stronger. He was holding back. They thrust forward and clashed their weapons. His katana burned through the arm of Sasuke and Mito construct. He kicked it away and flew and grabbed it. They raced into the sky as he plunged it down into the earth. The battle was catastrophic, but Mito and Sasuke refused to give up, even if it meant using every ounce of their chakra. Being the first time that they linked together, the form was only going to last for a few minutes. As Mito started to feel the strain already, Sasuke was using too much of his chakra. He covered the blades in black flames as they clashed. The final collision caused a shockwave so powerful that even the tailed beasts were thrown away, and the Gedo statue as well. The humans were thrown like rag dolls. They were able to capture many of the tailed beasts using Fuinjutsu, but the Gedo statue was a different beast entirely. It fought like a human, not like a wild beast. It was moving back. It was almost like it was thinking just like them. When everyone saw what happened, they felt defeated as Mito and Sasuke were on the ground. Sasuke was exhausted, his eyes blurry slightly as he pushed out almost all of his power to stop Naruto's strike. Mito was unmoving. Naruto landed on the ground, seeming to take a breather. As he walked over towards her, he gripped her as he pulled her up. "No, don't do it," Sasuke said. "She's your friend. You can't just forget everything that happened. You can't kill her," Sasuke said. As Mito looked towards Naruto, feeling the drain after exiting that form. "I'm sorry," she said, "that I wasn't able to save you from this path. But I want you to know, despite what you've done, I don't know why, but my feelings will never change. I've accepted this a long time ago, but it seems we were never destined to ever be. But I just want you to know, I love you, she said. Naruto's face did not change, yet there were tears coming from his eyes. His mouth seemed to move on its own, beyond his control. I love you too, he said. He thrust his hand out as the Gedo statue roared. Chains start to come from the thing's mouth. Yes, chains. One of them slammed into Mito, as Naruto did not let her go. The power of the Nine Tails was ripped out of her, as the Gedo statue pulled all of the other tail beasts out of their seal, pulling them towards its mouth, shocking everyone to how easily the chains undo what they did. Sasuke's eyes widened as he screamed out no. However, Mito was still alive. She felt power flowing into her, but not just power. Life essence. She looked at her back slightly as she saw Naruto's hand, pumping energy into her, keeping her. As she felt her system revive with energy, Naruto placed her on the ground. As Mito was alright, despite just having the Nine Tails ripped out of her. What did he do? He started to walk as he looked up to the sky and released a breath. I'm sorry, he said. I will always care about you guys, no matter what. With that, he took off. Mito flipped herself over as she forcefully got to her feet. Sasuke was trying the same, but Mito, having just got that boost of life force and energy from Naruto, was able to rein to her feet as she chased after him. As Naruto ran straight towards the Gedo statue, he landed on the thing's head and placed his hand down and sucked every single thing inside of him. Yes, he absorbed it all. The markings on his neck, constricting around the beast like a chain, around a vicious beast, pulling it inside of him. It seemed to suck in toward the side of his neck where, unknowingly, he got a blessing from the goddess Amaterasu. Naruto's body started to pulsate as he started to float into the sky, everyone watching with confusion as he ascended higher and higher. Everyone thought that it was over. Sakura, she saw Sasuke as she was on the battlefield. She rushed over towards him as she helped him up. He wanted to be over there. She helped him towards the area. As Naruto's body started to pulsate as he gripped his stomach, he gripped his chest. He started to pant heavily. The power was trying to merge and fuse with him, but that is not what he was going to do. It was over. The bloodshed, the chaos. He gave them all one thing to focus on, an enemy. And they united their strength and force to fight that enemy. So all he needed to do now was to take away that enemy and every other consolidation of war ever again. However, during his painful, stressful moment, Naruto didn't see Mito using a wing technique. Despite her chakra being unstable, she pushed herself. She gripped onto him, wrapping herself around him in mid-air. Let me go, said Naruto. You'll die. He screamed at her. You can't die here. It's your dream to be the Hokage. I don't want to take that away from you, he said, finally showing some emotions as no one could hear them. So let go. Achieve your goal and be happy. You don't understand, you fool, she said. There's no happiness without you. You can't, said Naruto. I knew. Deep down I knew that you never meant to ever truly harm any of us. But you sacrifice everything, going as far knowing that your name can never be redeemed, only to kill yourself in the end, to take it all away with you. Pain, suffering, chaos. I made a promise to Nagato that I would do the same. And to watch you go in an explosion like this, I just can't. I won't let you die, she said. You can't stop it, Naruto said, trying to force her off of him, but his strength was extremely restricted due to the amount of mental and physical force that he was using to contain this power. Mito, realizing that she could not stop it. "You're right," she said. Looking down, she could see Sasuke, who was shouting out, "I'm sorry." Her words somehow drifted down towards him despite how low she was talking, as he could see her lips with his Sharingan. "I wanted to be Hokage. I wanted to change the people's view on me. However, as much as I wanted that, I care for you more," she said. "Since day one, since we became a team, you were the one that told me that I was never a monster. That it didn't matter what, I would always be your friend, your comrade. It was that day I knew that I had feelings for you, but I never could truly understand them. I recently met my mother and she told me to find someone like my dad. Someone like my dad was to her. Someone that made her happy, someone that made her laugh, someone that cherished her. And when I think about that, I think about you. And I can't deny these feelings anymore. So I won't allow you to go alone. Wherever you're going, I'm coming with you as well." "You can't," said Naruto. "Wasting your life on someone like me. I've already done my part. There's nothing left for me in this world, and there's nothing left for me either," she said. She gripped onto him as the chakra erupted, swallowing the both of them. As Naruto, just like how the sage created matter from chakra, Naruto destroyed the chakra inside of him, using his energy that he collected from the sun rays. He combined the two of them, which were highly unstable, with his own life energy and his life force. When the three of them collided together, it created a paradox that erupted with a vacuum of explosion. Every single one was thrown. The sky turned pitch black. The air itself, like space, cracked open. An explosion that shook the entire world. The energy, though, shooted upwards. A violent, powerful blow of chakra that spread across the entire nation. Everyone was shocked. Just like that, every single tailed beasts were gone. Time skip. Two young children were running through the halls as their mother called out to them. However, they were too stubborn to look behind them. They just kept on running, smiling and laughing to one another as they were heading to see their dad. They burst the door open without a word of knocking or anything, jumping inside. "Dad! Dad!" Both children were twins, a boy and girl twin. The boy leaped up on the table as he jumped. His father caught him in his arms though. "How many times have I told you not to do that?" Around 20, he said. "Sorry, I forgot," scratching the back of his head as he laughed, causing his father to simply sigh, only for his daughter to crash headfirst into his stomach. He looked down as she was giggling up towards him. "Mom said that you're almost finished. Can we go now?" she said. "You promised you would take us to the park. I want you to meet my new friend," she said. "They don't believe me when I told them how awesome you were." "Well, I guess seeing is believing," he said, causing the young girl to smile. The boy calmly looking out the window. The both of them were 4 years old. Walking inside the room was Sakura Haruno, and she was pregnant. Yes, the man seated in the chair of the Hokage's tower was none other than Sasuke Uchiha. He smiled at his wife. It's been a few years. Yes, it has been. After the death of Naruto and Mito, the world had been at peace There was nothing to fight over anymore. The power balance had dropped significantly. It wasn't until a few years after that Sasuke took the mantle of Hokage. Sasuke wanted to do right by his departed friend, to keep her dream alive. He knew the sacrifice that Naruto made, so he was going to give everything that he got to make sure that the world was protected and safe. But not only that, he would do right and build the Uchiha clan back, so the future generation would prosper. His young boy was known as Shisui Uchiha. He wanted to name him Naruto, but given the stigma that many people saw that name with, especially with the last name Uchiha, he did not. They did name the girl though, Mito. Mito Uchiha after his best friend. He missed them a lot. It was hard with them gone, him being the only one that survived through the chaos. Through it though, Sakura had been a great helping hand. It didn't take too long for him to fall for her. Turns out she had feelings for him as well. What she had when he was younger, and those feelings only got stronger. Being on Team 7 with him when Naruto wasn't there only advanced those feelings that she had. Yes, they did. Majority of the Kages had stepped down, handing the position over towards their rightful successors. And Sasuke got along with each and every one of them, as they worked together to keep the world safe and peaceful. The world had never faced this kind of peace before, as most jobs, what were usually S-rank missions, were turning into day-to-day jobs of keeping stability and balance. And that was all due to the sacrifice that his friends made. He hated the fact that Mito had to die, knowing that she could have survived. However, he always knew deep down how strong her feelings were for Naruto, and in the end, her feelings overcome everything else, and Naruto sacrificed everything to bring them this peace. While many saw him as a bloodthirsty monster that slaughtered thousands, Sasuke will always see him as his best friend, his brother, as both of his children held on to his hand as he kissed his wife. Everything had made Sasuke see life as something that was extremely precious. His once stoic attitude had been replaced with a nurtureful, warm-filled Hokage to those that see him as their true rightful leader. However, to those that would threaten the peace that they built, he was someone that would wipe them out without thinking, as no one would ever disrupt this peace ever again. As he headed to the park after finishing up for the day with his family. Meanwhile, unknown area, a young girl possessing bright red hair was running as fast as she could. However, she was happy, extremely so. Beside her was another girl with dark hair. The both of them were the same age. Their features were different though. Dark hair and red hair. The dark hair one had blue eyes, while the red hair one had dark eyes. They were both running away. As they looked behind them, he's gaining on his red hair one said. Behind them was a small boy who seemed to be around 2 years younger than them. As they were both 7, he was 5. He was holding a wooden blade in his hand. "You won't get away from me," he said, realizing that he was not gaining on them. He brought his hand up. As slowly, strange energy started to gather around his palm. He put his hands behind him and a violent pressure of wind erupted from it. He burst past the two of them as he stopped himself by thrusting his hands out. "You're mine," he said. He jumped. But the red-haired girl held her hand up as chains wrapped around him and held him suspended mid-air. "Damn it, big sis. You're always doing this," he said. "Well, it's your fault," the dark-haired one said, "for telling on us. Mom asked me where you guys were. You shouldn't have left." We were just hanging out. It wasn't even that late, the red-haired one said. But you had to go and tell on us, that is why. You're not getting this back. As she held a cupcake in her hand. However, the next moment someone took it away from her. Hey, who? She paused. Standing there was someone that the world believed was dead. It was none other than Mito. Yes, Mito was alive. She looked down. Now what are you two doing to your younger brother, she said. We're just playing. The red-haired one said. No, they stole my cupcake. And they didn't want to give it back because I told you that they snuck out. Is that so? So you're punishing him for telling the truth. Something that you two shouldn't have done in the first place. It's not like that, the dark-haired one said. You see, well... Immediately, the red-haired one dropped the boy as they ran away, causing Mito to simply chuckle. That's what you both get. You're awesome, Mom, the boy said, as she scooped him up in her arms. And don't you forget it, she said to him. Come on, Mom, he said. I'm not a baby anymore. You know, you usually love when I scoop you in my arms. Yeah, but I'm not a baby anymore, he said to her. Well, to us, you'll always be a little baby. Dad! The boy turned as his father was standing there. The one and only Naruto Uchiha, holding the two girls by the back of their shirt, as the both of them giggle. I guess you caught us. The both of them hugged on to their father, as the red-haired one whispered in his ear. Mom is not happy. Protect us, she said. Naruto simply chuckled. Now you must be wondering what the hell was going on. Well, it was simple. A few years ago, upon detonating all that chakra, what happened was not Naruto and Mito dying. However, it created a rift, a break in space and time. The amount of power and collision threw the both of them through what seemed to be a goddamn wormhole. When they came to, they found themselves in a strange place. It was Konoha, but it wasn't their Konoha. The only thing that made them say that was because of the name. No one that they knew were there. And there was no war, no chaos. And most importantly, not everyone in this world had chakra. Yes, some people weren't born with chakra in this world. They had no idea where the hell they were. They were in some kind of paradox world or something like that. It took them some time to get used to what the hell was going on. However, the people here were more than kind. And this wasn't a village, it was a city. It turns out there were schools for those who possessed chakra and schools for those that did not. And they lived together and worked as one. There was no major wars in this world. Granted, no one had a large amount of chakra. It was just a necessity that helped them. There were those that could perform special techniques. However, once you were blessed with an element, it could not change. You could not learn a different element in this world. So that was rather confusing. This world was nothing like their home. They were your standard bandits and thieves. Not to mention this world had cars, buses, planes. And there were so much more city and things that were just mind-blowing. Mito didn't know where they were. Naruto did not know where they were. However, they had to adapt. And that is what they did. Her feelings for Naruto never changed over the coming years. He did have a lot of guilt that he robbed her of her chance of being Hokage. It did take a while for him to realize that being with him, the both of them no longer having to deny what they were feeling was something that made her happy. As Naruto and Mito were no longer fighters. They still had their chakra and power, however. They gave up that life. Their children were born with it though. And they weren't your average children either. They named the boy after their best friend. Sasuke, the red-haired girl, was Kushina. And the last one was named after Naruto's mother, Akayo Uchiha. He never got to meet his mother, but he was happy to give her that name. And this is where they've been for the past couple of years. Both of them now. Getting up there in their ages, but this world was peaceful. As Naruto worked as a farmer, it was weird, but when he was younger, it was something that he liked to do. And given that he possessed, well, abnormal abilities to most people here, only a select few knew about this. Only a small amount. People that they've come to trust, as the world did not know much about them. Naruto used those talents to help him form. He was quite successful. They live in a rather sturdy house, like a loving family. The past couple of years has been nothing but pure bliss and happiness. They would like Sasuke to know that they were happy, but they could not reach him. However, they were grateful that they were alive, grateful for their kids and grateful for one another, as the both of them look towards each other and share a loving kiss. But guys, in the end episode right here, I might do a sequel on this in the new world of Konoha with Naruto and his kids and more danger in this new world. After all, it's a whole new adventure. I might, but I'm not sure yet. Well, this is it guys, the final ending. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And you already know new what ifs coming up soon for you guys to enjoy. Bye, I'm off and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.